Hi everybody, the Serial Stamper here from theserialstamper.com, and welcome to my video. Today I'm going to show you how I have been making these shaker cards without using dimensionals or dimensional tape. So the cool thing about these is that we don't have to pay extra postage to mail them, because they will just be the width of the card, and we will still be able to make a wide variety of shapes using the majority of the Stampin' Up! Framelit dies, which is really cool. Also, this makes a great technique to do on your scrapbooking pages as well, because it helps keep your pages flat and it will give you extra shapes to work with. Okay, so I'm not going to be giving the dimensions or layers for the cards in the video. That will be in the blog post, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you can find the link to my blog in the description bar beneath the video. The first thing we're going to talk about in making these cards is that we need to make a frame to cover the windows of the shaker, and also the backgrounds. I have solid backgrounds on these cards, and I have stamped an image on the remainder of the border. So in order to do the frames, you need two nesting shapes. They don't have to be the same shape. You will see that on this one it happens to be the same shape, so I've used two different sizes of the heart framelits. And on this one, I have used an oval framelit and the apothecary framelits for the outer layer. So I'm mentioning that because I'm going to show you for the frame, we need, like I said, two nesting dies. So that means one larger and one smaller, and as long as they fit inside of each other, then you will be able to use them. So of course I have done the hearts for this one. So we'll have our frame once we use the two different shapes. So that takes care of the frame part. The next thing we are going to do is cut out our the mask. So on this one it would have been the oval. For this one it will be the heart. And you will use the smaller of the two shapes to make your mask. I make my mask out of regular copy paper because I want it to be thin. We want the least amount of thickness between the card and the stamp, or between the card and the stamp, so that way you'll get a nice crisp image around your mask. So after the mask, you will use the larger of the shapes to make the window for your frame. And the window needs to be the same size as the larger of the two frames that you have chosen. So this one will be the larger heart, which I have already cut out of the window sheet. And on this one, it would have been the apothecary frame, the larger one. Alright, so we're going to be making this card. So on our base piece, I am going to first put down the mask, and I'm going to be adhering the mask using the two-way glue pen. Now when you first put the two-way glue on, it's wet of course, and I don't know if you'll be able to see on this red cardstock, but it's blue. So when the glue is wet, it is blue, and if you stick it to whatever you're going to be adhering it to, it's going to be a permanent bond, and we don't want to do that with our mask. So what we're going to do is put it on the mask and let it dry, and when it dries it is clear, and it will just be sticky and tacky, and you will be able to remove it from the base because it's only a semi-permanent bond once it dries. Okay, so the background I am going to be stamping with Pool Party ink using the leaves from the sheltering tree. So I will show you the stamp sets because they do look different when you see them in person and instead of the catalog or online. And I'm going to be using this image from the stamp set, which is supposed to be the leaves. And this is one of my favorite stamp sets in the Occasions catalog. Alright, so I will just go ahead and randomly stamp around my mask, making a design that I have chosen, and that is just going to look like confetti around my heart image. And I am going to rotate my stamp around so that way it will make different images around my shape because I want it to look random. And actually, as I'm stamping this, it's reminding me of a stamp set that we just discontinued. I don't know if you got to see it, and I can't think of the name of it right now, so I'm not sure why I'm bringing it up, except for that it's just reminding me of that stamp set. Okay, so that looks good enough for me. And now once I have finished stamping that background, I'm going to remove the mask, and the next trick is to dry emboss our panel here. And we're going to be using the same shape that we did for the mask. And we're not going to emboss the front, we're going to emboss it from the back, and we're going to use the flat side of the framelit, not the cutting edge side. And we're just going to line it up using the light. You will be able to see the framelit through the cardstock. And then all we have to do is run it through the Big Shot to get an embossed image. So the regular platform, a cutting plate, and the key here is that we need a silicone mat. Then we're going to put our cardstock with our framelit face down, and you may want to use I just messed it up, a piece of tape to hold your framelit in place, but I don't happen to have one right here with me, and I'm not going to be super picky because I will have a frame to cover it up. So cutting blade up, and then put a cutting pad on top, and then you may find that you need a shim depending on how thick your silicone mat is. I'm going to just take a regular sheet of copy paper and fold it in quarters and use it as a shim, and I'm going to run it through the Big Shot 2 or 3 times. And you don't really want to go fast because you want the pressure to go through and make a good indentation in your card. Okay, so when we take this out, we will have created an embossed image with the framelit. And that will give us a ridge on the inside of the card. And this is what I am going to call my confetti well. Alright, so after that, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the image in the center of my well, and I'm going to be using the Memento black ink. And I'm going to be stamping the Sentiment Love. And I love the clear blocks and the acrylic stamps because it makes it so easy to line up your image where you want to because you can see through the stamps and the block. Alright, so I'm going to set this with that sheet of paper here on the side, and I'm going to bring in the frame and the window sheet. And another little tip to get things static free is to wipe the window sheet with a with a used dryer sheet. And I have used this 2 or 3 times just to make sure that the coating that is on it has pretty much come off, so that way it doesn't mar up my window sheet. And I'm just going to go ahead and rub both sides of the window sheet, rubbing off any fingerprints or oils from my fingers and also removing the static. Excuse me. I seem to have a frog in my throat. Okay, so both sides. Alright, after doing that, we're going to be gluing the frame and the window sheet together. And I'm going to use Tombow glue because it works fabulous. And it works quickly, and it holds the window sheet nicely and tightly in place. So you just want to make sure you put a minimum amount of glue and do it more so towards the outer edge because you don't want to press the frame and the window sheet together and have the glue ooze under your window sheet and cause it to be marred up with the glue. Alright, so I'm just going to lift this up carefully and place it right over my image. Alright, and gently tap it or rub it, but just don't squeeze the glue too far. And you won't have to worry too much about that if you don't get heavy-handed with the glue. And you don't have to, and the Tombow actually works well with the window sheets, so just a few gentle rounds and it should be good to go. I must have gotten some glue there on my mat. See if I can get that off. I love these things. I know I've said it before. I'm going to probably say it again. The adhesive remover is really awesome. Okay, we'll zoom back in a little bit. Okay, so now onto the confetti. I have already punched my confetti that I'm going to be using, and I have used the confetti hearts punch, and I punched out my basic colors, which are Melon Mambo and Real Red. And the thing I want to tell you about this is that I've put a little bit of talcum powder in my container, which helps reduce the friction of the paper, and I'm hoping going to help with the movement of the confetti inside of the card. So I've used the punches on the paper, and I'm also going to be using the Bermuda Bay sequins. I love this color. These are like just gorgeous. And I've also used the gold sequins as well. So if you just pull the string from the end of your sequins, you will be able to just move them really easily, and you will just plug off as many as you want. And another little cool thing that I have been using for my confetti is I've been taking my snips and just snipping the edge of little snips on the string for the sequins, and it's making like flocking, which is really cool. So we get to use all of the material and not waste anything. So I've already pre-made some, and I have it right here. So I'm going to bring in the base for my card, and I am going to just tap it a little bit extra with the Emboss Buddy to leave a little bit of powder inside of the card. So I am not putting any powder on the window sheet because I don't want my window sheet to be cloudy, but I am putting a little bit in the card or on the card base, and I'm pretty sure that it will be absorbed by the confetti inside of the card. And the thing I want to mention here is don't put too much confetti inside of your card. If you have a smaller window, the less you put in it, the more movement you will get. So if you're not overly interested in the movement, you're just going for the effect, you know, go for it. Put as much in there as you want. But this flocking does not move very well once it's in there, because like I said, the well is not that deep, but I like the look and the effect, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave it in there. So now that we've got that done, all we have to do now is glue the window sheet to the card base. And again, let me zoom out again. I'm going to use the Tombow, if I can find the button. So again, I'm going to use the Tombow on the outer edge sparingly. So you can see, using the wet glue and the window sheets, you could easily conform any shape. Which I think is the best thing out of the whole technique. Okay, I see a little there, a little piece of black something stuck to the back side of my window sheet here. All right, so you're just gonna pick this up and carefully place it over the raised area on your card. And it is just that simple. Just line it up there, and again, pressing gently. Just make sure that you have good adhesion between your card and the window frame. And now you don't want to pick up your frame and start shaking it at this point, because your glue is wet and you don't want your confetti getting stuck in the glue. The good thing is Tombow dries really fairly quickly, so it's not like you're going to have to wait too long. So I'm going to bring in my card base, and I have been seeing people adhere their panels down with washi tape, but I don't like doing that because the washi tape, I don't find it sticky enough. So what I have been doing is using the fast fuse, which I love, love, love. Hopefully I just didn't put my confetti into my glue. Alright, so the trick with the fast fuse is to make sure your glue is engaged on the roller, and then just go ahead and make that check, that quick check. Well, now I'm trying to glue it to my paper here. Pull in another sheet. Okay, the fast fuse, excuse me, is an awesome adhesive. As you can tell, I'm trying to glue myself and the Pierce mat. Alright, so just make sure your card base is in the position where it's going to open the way you want it. And I'm going to try to flip this over without having my confetti stick. Hold your fingers underneath your panel until you have it lined up where you want to place it, because like I said, this fast fuse is super sticky. Once it is down, it is stuck. Alright, and then I come behind that with my washi tape that I have hidden from myself. Okay. And then just make a border around the card. And you don't have to be precise with this because it is just a fun and funky kind of card and technique to use. So the only thing about sticking and unsticking the washi tape is it's not overly sticky to start with, so you don't want to have to pull it up too many times. Alright, so after you get your washi tape on, I just make sure I burnish it down so that way it will stick well. The next thing I have done to my card is put on my little added bling here. I put the arrow, and I've cut out the smallest of the hearts framelits in the gold glimmer paper, and I have punched a hole, a 1/8 inch hole in the top right hand corner. And I did that for a reason, and that is so the glimmer paper will stay facing up and we won't see the back glossy side of the paper. And also so I'm going to adhere the arrow down with the Tombow glue. And place it right there. Next we will put our heart, the shaker heart, and the word love in brackets because I think it gives it a fun added look. And I have a pictorial tutorial on how to make these brackets using our bracket label punch, and I'm going to use the Tombow for this because it's just easier. and I want to just tap the brackets, because if you rub or drag on the brackets, they will actually pull themselves in half. Well, let's see if I can get it on there. Because of the thin area where it makes the little point. So that's just a little tip, because I have actually pulled them apart. So you just want to be gentle with them. All right, and the last thing is to put our gold baker's twine, because we can't have too much bling, right? So I pulled the majority of the cord to the right side and just took the piece on the left and folded it over to the right and left just a little hanging off the edge. Come back around, hold my string in place and bring it back under the top of the card. And I want to make sure my string is not twisted. Alright, so we're going to put the heart on the top, string on the bottom, and the hole and the string position just ensures that the glimmer paper stays to the front of the card. I'm going to try to use my snips to push the twine through. Alright, and then you're just going to tie up your tails here. Just because I'm trying to rush, I am causing myself more grief here. Alright, and then just trim your tails off. And voila, you have a cute, fun, funky little card. And guess what I'm going to do with this? Yes, I'm going to cut it and make more flocking. Alright, so it should be dry enough, and you see you have a fun, happy little shaker card. Alright, well, I hope that you have enjoyed this video, that you have learned something new, and that you are able now to go out and make a bunch of fun shakers. And if you happen to need any of the supplies that you have seen in this video, I would appreciate if you go to my online store